Today's hot topic: big money is leaving, stablecoins are flowing out, and everyone is trying to buy the dip. But why hasn't the price gone up yet? Crypto bigwigs are throwing money at corn, Bitcoin, but their debut flopped. Trump said that if a new Federal Reserve chair takes office, the economy will immediately rise 15%. February 11th, Wednesday. This is TV Chinese channel. Where's the face change? I'm at the scene of the Hong Kong General Assembly. In today's headlines, we have a special anchor to introduce. Please meet our Hong Kong anchor, who is also our resident reporter. Before he makes his appearance, we still need to go over today's data headlines, which are very important. Everyone is talking about this round of decline, especially at the Hong Kong Consensus Conference. No one feels that market sentiment has collapsed. Everyone thinks it's just a temporary technical correction. So over the past 30 days, if you look at Bitcoin, there has been a net outflow of $2.6 billion from new investors. And during this downturn, there was absolutely no sign of that very familiar scene of a bull market correction. Oversold, and it just keeps getting more oversold. So as long as the price drops, there will always be people rushing in to buy the dip. What's happening in the market right now is like old money lining up again during this bull market correction. So people are rotating positions, changing hands, and deleveraging. Meanwhile, what is the new money outside the market doing? They're watching the story unfold, following the news, calculating risks, and waiting to see what happens before making a decision. The current state of the market feels like that transitional period after approaching a peak. It's not a warm-up before a new trend starts. In other words, even if prices rebound a bit now, it's just a technical correction or short sellers covering their positions. It doesn't mean the market will immediately go up. So what the market lacks right now isn't stories or good news, but a very practical issue. Is there actually any new money willing to come in and buy? Let's take a look at the on-chain data, which is very telling. Ethereum's price has already fallen below the cost basis of major holders. However, the whales haven't stopped accumulating at all. Looking at the data, these big players started aggressively accumulating since June 2025, and their buying has only gotten crazier since then. In 2023 and 2024, they were buying a few thousand to tens of thousands of coins per day. But now, it's not uncommon to see buy orders exceeding 100,000 coins, and on some days, even 400,000 coins per day. This is a new all-time high record. This is no small-scale operation. Let me tell you, the more Ethereum drops, the more aggressively these whales are buying, and the further the price falls. The more the price drops, the more capital rushes in. This is a complete divergence between sentiment and price. In other words, these major funds are not at all afraid of short-term declines. In fact, they're waiting for the price to drop so they can build their positions at the bottom. Unlike the previous phases of buying in spurts, this time it's a long-term, large-scale, and purely strategic layout. So now is not the time for short-term speculation. Even though Ethereum is still under pressure and facing selling pressure, the big players have already shown with their actions that, despite poor market sentiment, medium and long-term capital has quietly started to position itself. The current market is far from reaching its peak. Alright, let's look at the on-chain data, which is already sounding the alarm. The biggest problem in the market right now isn't the price drop, but rather that there's no money to take over the positions, right? Starting from the end of December 2024 in the exchanges 2020. Funds have been continuously flowing out, and now the scale has returned to the level of last October. Moreover, this round of pullback happened simultaneously with the drop in Bitcoin's price. The data is very straightforward. The total reserves in exchanges have fallen from $60 billion on December 30th to $53 billion now, with nearly $7 billion flowing out. Binance is the most obvious example, with its reserves dropping from $43 billion to $38 billion, making it the main outlet for these outflows. At the same time, the price also dropped from $93,000 back to $69,000. The pace of this is very consistent, so under normal healthy pullbacks, stablecoins should obediently stay in the exchanges, waiting to buy the dip, right? But now, as the price keeps falling, USDT is also fleeing. This shows that funds have no intention of staying in the market to catch the bottom, but are choosing to withdraw first. Where is the money going? Gold, silver, or the Japanese yen? Stablecoins are supposed to be the fuel for a market rebound, but now that fuel is continuously leaking, so naturally the car can't start. Therefore, before USDT clearly flows back and reserves stabilize, the market is just barely holding on, not getting ready to take off. Alright, please like and turn on the notification bell. Today's news is special. We're introducing a new host to everyone. Hello everyone.
Hello.
Lucy has a very impressive background. She's also a vice president at a well-known major company in the Web3 space. So, Lucy, why don't you introduce yourself to everyone?
Actually, I'm not a stranger to Web3 at all, but this is my first time being a host.
So it's the host role that's new to you, right?
That's right.
Within the Web3 space, which sector are you most interested in?
It must be AI. Walking around today, nearly half of everything was AI related. Even if it's not, everyone is trying to link themselves to it.
That's a must. In the ever-changing world of Web3, a single day is like 10 years in the real world. So basically, 1 hour here is equivalent to a year or two in the real world.
Exactly.
Everyone saw the previous NFT craze, then RWA, then the linkage with B shares, and now it's AI's turn. So, for today's headline news, let's focus on a major player in the crypto world, Crypto.com.
They
Spent 60 million US dollars to buy a top-level domain name.
don't tell me it's A.com?
That's the one.
That's so awkward for Mr. Zhang.
The awkward part is that right now, i.com can't even be accessed.
That's basically a major public fail, so embarrassing. Oof, it's just too embarrassing.
The platform crashed within 48 hours of going live, and users saw a 504 error when trying to access it. This failure contrasts with the $70 million spent on the domain, as well as the roughly $8 million invested in Super Bowl advertising. This sharp contrast has amplified market doubts about their execution capabilities and the readiness of their infrastructure. This $70 million deal also reflects how crypto tycoons are accelerating their shift toward mainstream asset allocation. What started as symbolic marketing stunts like Justin Sun bidding for a lunch with Warren Buffett has now evolved into more tangible and long-term asset strategies. This includes the founder of HKEX purchasing a luxury London mansion for around $30 million, Tether's CEO diversifying profits into over 140 sectors such as agriculture and sports, and holding as much as $23 billion in gold assets. Meanwhile, Justin Sun's family office has taken it a step further by acquiring 2 hydropower plants in Norway, directly tapping into energy, a key resource in the AI era.
Alright, to put it bluntly, my previous view on the AI sector is that I think there aren't any real AI projects in the crypto space. At least most of them are just storytelling PowerPoint projects without any actual application.
Think?
Yeah, what about you?
Yes, but I think things are becoming more and more real now. For example, yesterday when we interviewed the person in charge of social failure, their platform uses AI to filter out noise and identify truly valuable information, and also combines AI with data analysis.
Right, and if in the future we all need to have an AI agent, then in the crypto space I think we'll need an AI bot as well, especially when we're aiming to generate higher profits and achieve millisecond level arbitrage. If all the arguments are mine, that feels great. So we hope that Bishua is no longer just about telling stories, but that real AI can be implemented so everyone can perceive it and actually use it. Yes.
Regulation has suddenly become a traffic magnet. On February 10, 2026, with the morning mist still lingering over Victoria Harbour, the Hong Kong Convention and Exhibition Centre had already become the focus of the world. Hong Kong's chief executive John Lee took the main stage at Consensus. This was seen as a clear signal of a shift in digital finance policy, licensing for stablecoins, RWA tokenization, and mutual recognition of cross-border regulations all advanced rapidly, elevating these from technical topics to matters of institutional policy. Hong Kong has moved from pilot exploration to the stage of implementing rules, with regulatory frameworks now becoming gateways for liquidity. There are 3 key variables at this grand event. First, asset atomization is moving from concept to reality. Traditional financial institutions are reassessing the on-chain mapping and liquidity evaluation of real estate and debt assets. Second, blockchain infrastructure is shifting from experimental scenarios to becoming the backbone of high-frequency settlements, with the digital Hong Kong dollar and cross-border payment systems emerging as central narratives. Third, the emergence of air agents brings issues of automated execution and algorithmic governance, shifting regulatory focus from the actions of entities to the structure of mechanisms. Consensus's choice of Hong Kong is no coincidence. It is a rational decision by capital in favor of a predictable regulatory environment. With the advancement of frameworks for VSPs and stablecoin issuers, Hong Kong is transitioning from a traditional channel to a hub for digital asset liquidity and regulatory innovation.
Alright, now the crypto market has dropped so much that everyone is almost losing confidence. If it weren't for the consensus conference, we wouldn't have such a big gathering here in Hong Kong. Everyone's here, from public chains to exchanges to the entire infrastructure. What do you think about the current market situation and this recent downturn?
To be honest, it's hard for me to judge, but I want to share some very positive news with everyone. Trump has nominated Walsh as the new Federal Reserve Chair. He has declared that he wants to drive the U.S. economy to a 15% growth rate. Just think about it. Compared to the current market consensus of 2.4%,
7x higher.
7 times.
So if Bitcoin is at $70,000 now and it goes up sevenfold, that's $490,000.
Exactly.
Once Walsh takes office, Trump still has 3 years left in his term. Bitcoin at $500,000 is just the starting point.
Yeah, just think about the possibilities. Right now, I think only Trump can stir up this kind of excitement.
Just Trump. We'll watch him.
Right.
Trump's main goal in proposing 15% economic growth is to build momentum for the midterm elections and to ensure that his nominated Fed chairman, Kevin Walsh, faces obvious political pressure even before taking office. If this kind of pressure leads to a shift toward a looser monetary stance, it could release liquidity in the short term, creating a wave of positive sentiment for risk assets like Bitcoin. However, in the long run, a loose policy that is disconnected from economic fundamentals could result in a rebound in inflation and market distortions, increasing policy uncertainty.
Is radically different from the central bank. I joined in 2006. I don't think we need policy continuity that brought about the greatest mistake in macroeconomic policy in 45 years that divided the country and that caused a surge in inflation. I don't think we need continuity when the central bank doesn't have credibility.
Actually, in my view, every politician's campaign slogans before the election and their platforms after the election always differ, so I think this 15% is pretty inflated. It could just be these so-called impressive partners saying goodbye.
For
The votes.
To be honest, whether this is just a routine or not remains to be seen. Judging from our live audience today and everyone's demeanor, people are actually very calm.
Yeah.
And the fact that so many people are attending this consensus conference, even in this market environment, shows that everyone is already working on honing their skills in the bear market, focusing on building up our own foundational infrastructure. Yes, I think this is a particularly positive cycle. Long-term value.
Creation, exactly. Because in 2026, as we've all said, the trend has changed. People won't just buy into a story or a PowerPoint anymore. Right, before the next wave of financial capital comes in, can you lay a solid foundation for yourself? You can't just have a few GPS nodes or hype things up while your system is full of bugs and constantly crashing. That's not going to work. Building foundational infrastructure on-chain is something everyone must understand and focus on. In 2026, the temperature of the water really has changed. When stablecoins take control of settlement, will the global currency landscape be overturned? Coins haven't left the chain, nor have they collapsed. So why were the publicly listed companies heavily invested in Solana the first to be sentenced to death? Alright, let's talk about this next. Let's talk about the stablecoin bill. At this consensus conference, behind every project, there was a stablecoin, either USDT or USDC.
That's right.
Lucia, do you use RMB? Which coins make up the largest portion of your holdings?
BTC.
Why not Bitcoin?
Because I'm waiting to buy the dip.
Right. At this price, 70,000, you think it's still a good entry, right? Very tempting.
Yeah.
So you're a long-term believer, it seems.
Absolutely. Otherwise, I wouldn't be sitting here.
Yes. So the stablecoin bill passed by the United States has set a precedent for the whole world. How will Hong Kong implement its stablecoin strategy? Soon everyone will know that the Hong Kong government is about to launch. The relevant regulations and standards for issuing stablecoins are
I believe that anyone, whether an individual or a business owner, once they've used stablecoins, will never go back to the old efficiency of fiat currency
and its system.
The review systems framework for
Stablecoin growth is now impossible to ignore. USDT circulation is near $187 billion, a 60% market share serving 450 million users. USDC stands at $75 billion. More importantly, Tether's main reserves are U.S. short-term Treasury bonds, and its holdings have already approached the official levels of some developed countries, making it one of the fastest-growing sources of demand for U.S. Treasuries in recent years. This turns stablecoins from regulatory targets into strategic variables influencing capital flows in the U.S. dollar system.
Well, I think there are 2 points of view, right? So I think that in 2 major markets, one is the foreign market for stablecoins, i.e., all the emerging markets involving countries that are desperate to have access to the US dollar in the form of USDT or other US dollar-pegged stablecoins. These markets experience 50% inflation year over year. Think about Turkey or Argentina, for example. So for those markets, stablecoins are very important.
The application of stablecoins has clearly expanded beyond just crypto trading. They are now being used in cross-border remittances, e-commerce payments, and bulk commodity settlements. In 2025, Tether has already participated in oil trade settlements, marking the beginning of stablecoins transitioning from on-chain tools to real-world payment and clearing intermediaries. Their impact is now breaking through the boundaries of single markets and national borders.
So now, when it comes to stablecoins, I think regardless of whether the government recognizes them or whether they comply with certain regional regulations, as long as people start using them and there is consensus between you and me, stablecoin transfers and transactions are genuinely impacting our daily lives.
That's right, because they really are convenient. You don't need to go through any intermediaries or anything like that.
Exactly.
Especially, for example, their use is not limited to the crypto world. In fact, in some everyday trade, especially cross-border trade,
I know that quite a few merchants in Yiwu are quietly using stablecoins for settlements.
yes, so I feel that stablecoins may not be able to replace the US dollar, but they are teaching the dollar how to survive in the digital age.
That's right.
Actually, recently, holding Bitcoin in company treasuries has become standard for listed companies. Previously, they didn't just buy Bitcoin, they also added Ethereum and even Solana to their portfolios.
Right? How much is Solana today? Let me check.
Go ahead.
$82.
Dollars.
At its peak, it was close to $250.
Wow, that's a huge drop. So what does this mean? When we look at our books during a bull market, the gains are magnified, but when the market turns and the wind shifts, those gains instantly become magnified losses. The capital market can turn on a dime even faster than flipping a page in a book.
Exactly. So now we have to see what this DAT company does next. Can they hold on, or will they be the next to trigger a blow-up in this round of the bear market? It's really hard to say. Gray swan, gray rhino, black swan, you just never know.
Yeah, it's just too tough to get through.
According to data from CoinGaga, several U.S.-listed companies that hold SOL as a core treasury asset are now facing a combined unrealized loss of over $1.5 billion, mainly concentrated in Forward Industries, Shops Technology, and Defeat Development Group, and HKEX. These companies collectively control over 12 million SOL, accounting for about 2% of the total supply.
If you think about blockchains, blockchains are built to do certain things, and we feel that Solana is ideal for the financial ecosystem. Speed, throughput, all that, all the on-chain metrics you can look at. It allows it to be a solid backbone for the future of finance.
Forward Industries bought in at an average of $230, but now the price is about $84, causing a paper loss of over $1 billion for the company. Sharp's holdings have dropped by more than half, and HKEX has an unrealized loss of about $130 million, with its stock down over 80%. Since October 2025, these companies have mostly stopped adding to their holdings, and there has been no major on-chain reduction. Still, the capital market has already repriced in advance.
So right now, the biggest risk isn't whether these companies have sold Solana, but rather that their stock prices have plummeted by 59 to 73% in one go on the market.
Yeah, basically it's a wipeout for their lower legs.
Right?
But I still believe that there's nothing wrong with pure Solana. Solana, as a public chain, is a typical US-centric, capital-driven, centralized blockchain. It used to crash a lot, but after solving its security issues, I think Solana's transaction speed can definitely compete with Ethereum. However, replacing Ethereum is out of the question for now. The unrealized losses for these companies should be around $1 to $1.5 billion US. In my opinion, this small amount of money can be recovered with just 1 or 2 daily limit ups.
Yeah, so I feel like we shouldn't put too much faith in these companies that hold coins as their treasury. I still think that companies like MicroStrategy, which focuses on Bitcoin, are more reliable.
Trust Sailor more?
Yes, that's right.
At least their stock has gone up, and it hasn't dropped by 80%, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look at today's news preview.
Binance founder Changpeng Zhao revealed on his LinkedIn blog that he worked at McDonald's in Canada when he was 14. The minimum wage was $6 Canadian per hour, but due to an exemption clause, he only got 5.5. Even the top figures in the crypto world had to tough it out for 50 cents less per hour. Fortune magazine revealed that pulling market AI is stirring things up. In the future, it won't just be about betting on outcomes. You'll be able to bet on what's trending, who's popular, and which way public opinion is headed. To put it simply, even attention itself has become something you can wager on. Malaysian media have exposed a shocking case in Selangor where a real-life crime drama unfolded. 7 police officers, along with 5 accomplices, broke into a private residence in the middle of the night to intimidate Chinese tourists. In the end, they forced the victims to transfer 200,000 ringgit in cryptocurrency, which is over 350,000 yuan. Reality is even harsher than the movies. Meanwhile, Elon Musk has made another statement. He's about to undergo a comprehensive physical examination. Not only will there be safety tests, but they're also planning to make the code completely open for everyone to see. The US government has been hitting some snags lately. Last fall, it shut down for 43 days, and just a week ago, it paused operations for another 4 days. Now, because the two parties can't reach an agreement on immigration enforcement reforms proposed by the Trump administration, there's once again uncertainty about the government's operations.
All right, that's all for today's news. Lucia, as it's your first day hosting, how do you feel?
My feeling is that I can't even imagine it. Can you all picture it? Actually, while we were sitting at the venue today, there were a lot of fans gathered behind our cameras, all here to see Teacher Michael.
Some took photos.
Oh, I was honestly so nervous I could barely handle it. I was almost rambling.
But you did really well. I think whether someone is knowledgeable or not, you can tell as soon as they start talking.
I think this is especially meaningful and also quite challenging. In fact, I'm very willing to share with everyone the paths I've taken before, the hardships and lessons I've experienced, so that through this platform, we can all improve our understanding together and help everyone avoid unnecessary detours. I think this is something especially meaningful and valuable. Of course, my style is completely different from Teacher Michael's, so our perspectives and insights will also be totally different. I hope everyone will enjoy it, and if you don't, please don't criticize me too harshly.
Yes, try to hold back a bit. If you don't like it, control your emotions.
Because Teacher Michael has already chosen me to be the host.
Yes, from now on, Michael and Lucia will bring you daily news analysis from BTD. So, the Hong Kong area will be handled by Lucia from now on. If you come to Hong Kong, you can visit our BTV office. Let's all gradually become wealthier together.
You're all welcome to visit. Let's all get rich together step by step.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.